Nissan cuts 10,000 jobs. Let's have a look. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I've got my stein of coffee in hand and I thought we'd look at some news that just came out this morning about Nissan cutting 10,000 jobs. Now this seems to be a common story that we're hearing, isn't it, all the time, about major multinational companies cutting large number of staff. And this will have flow-on effects to the global economy. And it actually is tied into just a slowdown in global manufacturing that I spoke about a few days ago. So let's have a look through this article. This is from Bloomberg. So Nissan to deepen job cuts to 10,000 worldwide, Kyoto says. Nissan Motor Company plans to cut at least 5,200 additional jobs globally to improve its performance, more than doubling the number flagged earlier this year, Kyoto News reported, citing unidentified sources. The dismissals come on top of the plan unveiled in May to shed 4,800 jobs, revamp car models, and boost poor sales in the US. The further cuts would take the total number of reductions to 10,000, or more than 7% of Nissan's workforce. Well, what does that tell you about the state of the company if they have to cut 7% of their workforce? Everything's fine, no problems. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I don't think so. Good coffee. So Nissan shares rose 1.1% in early trading on Wednesday in Tokyo. A representative for Nissan in Japan declined to comment. Kyoto said Nissan is expected to reveal the plans when it reports quarterly results on Thursday. Nissan is under pressure to revive its business following car inspection scandals, as well as last year's arrest and ouster of former chairman Carlos Ghosn, bringing deep tensions with alliance partner Renault SA to the surface. The car maker's operating profit fell to the lowest in a decade in 2018, so things are obviously not going well for Nissan. Nissan's operating profits will decline 66% to 37.2 billion yen in the first fiscal quarter through June, according to the average of analyst predictions compiled by Bloomberg. Sales will decline 3% to 2.63 trillion yen, analysts predict. Ghosn, arrested in November in Tokyo on allegations of financial misconduct, is free on bail as he prepares for a trial that will probably start next year. The former chairman of the alliance between Nissan, Renault, and Mitsubishi Motors Corp has denied all charges against him. Separately, Nissan is preparing to end production of its NV200 van in Barcelona within the next 2 years, the Nikkei Kyogai newspaper reported without attribution. Fantastic. Forgive me of my dreadful pronunciation. Now let's have a look at a few things. I mean, you can see here, the Japanese yen. Well, that's not what we're interested in. Mitsubishi Motors is up. Renault is up. But let's look at just a map of some of the Nissan factories around the world. And we can see here, they're in the US, in Brazil, none in Australia at the moment, in Indonesia and China. So you can see there's Nissan capacity around the world. And the fact that they're cutting 10,000 people is going to have an effect on a lot of the manufacturing. And we looked at this article a few days ago. We looked at this article, and this was from the JP Morgan Global Composite PMIs, showing just future orders. And Adams and North did a recent video called Carmageddon Comes South, talking about declining car purchasing. And we're starting to see this happening here with Nissan. And you've got to think about it. Let's have a look at the map of these countries here. Let's look at the map of these countries, and we will just remember that, some of these countries. We'll look here at Australia and our export market. What we're exporting and where we're exporting it to. So look at our destinations. So China, Japan, India, Hong Kong, or the Asian countries. And then if we jump back here to this map, we can see many of the countries that we're exporting to. Indonesia, it makes it the list. It's 2.5% of our exports. What about India? Yep, India 6.1. It's got a factory there. There we go. Hong Kong. Yep. Yeah, it's on the map as well. You can see here. Philippines. How does Australia, our exports go to the Philippines? Let's have a look. Are they on here? Oh, they're not too big. Oh, no, there we go. There we go. There they are. Hang on, I need to bring up a full screen so I can see that over here. Oh, yeah, 0.89%. But what we can think about is that this reduction in capacity, which is going to result from this, you'd hope or you'd imagine that it will have an impact on the cost of the goods used to manufacture these vehicles. There will be a flow on for what we're exporting. So while it's a global issue, it will have a flow on to Australian exports, and that will flow through to the rest of our economy. So what do you think? Do you all think this is going to be another issue? We'll wait and see for Thursday what's going to happen. Are you prepared for this? Are you prepared for for this change to the manufacturing? And wait, we'll just have a look at the Nissan price. So we'll jump over here and we will look at the current price from Trading Views and what they've released here. There's estimate, ending period, earnings released. So you can see here, I'll change this. Well, this is the 2-hourly rate. Let's go to a monthly chart and we can see all of the information that they're releasing down here. Dividends, 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 dividends. And now the MACD has crossed over in May or April and we're trending down. So you can see here they're steadily going down. With this news release, there's been a slight uptick. So the RSI has just crossed back over into above the, oversold line. I'm not a chart guy, guys. You can I just like to, slowly get an understanding of it, of where the company is just from this thing. We'll have a look. Let's zoom out a bit more. That's the 1 month. Nope, we won't zoom out a bit more. So, we can see here where it's trending. What do you all think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments, guys. Not good news, but not surprising, particularly with what's happening with manufacturing on a global scale. We've seen this here. Even in Australia, our consumer confidence is heading down. Our business confidence is heading down. Remember, we don't have any vehicle manufacturing in Australia anymore. Everything's imported. Our economy is affected because of our exposure due to exports. We can see here, what Australia is exporting, a lot of raw materials. We're not exporting complex things. So any changes to the demand for these resources in other economies will flow through and affect ours. It'll flow through and affect ours. So guys, we'll see. We will see what happens. I feel sorry for the people that have lost their jobs. 10,000 jobs. It hasn't been released yet. It's still coming out. But sadly, that's a big number for the manufacturing. You've got to remember, a lot of it is automated these days. But 10,000 jobs is a lot of people, and in a lot of countries. You can see here what's being affected. Brazil, United States, Mexico, Spain as well. If that factory is closing, I know we've dealt with a few manufacturers in Spain when we were looking at installing maintenance cranes on top of high-rise towers. It's actually manufactured in Spain, and you just have to look at the unemployment statistics for Spain. If you're not familiar with it, it's horrific, particularly youth unemployment. Huge problems there, really big. South Africa as well. I'd put money, if they're closing, maybe they'll be hitting the Mexico and US if they've got declining sales there. Then US is also, while it's not a major export partner for Australia, they do happen to have a significant investment here in Australia, which I didn't realize how high it actually was. It's pretty big, one of the most. So this is the thing. It's a complex ecosystem where one thing will affect another. It's an emergent outcome. It's an emergent thing. And with the concepts of emergence, you get a more complicated system out of the whole interaction of a number of simple parts. So whenever governments start talking about managing or planning or organizing the economy or centrally planning things, they're trying to control something with only over a limited set of data. They can never get a big picture entirely of the whole situation. There's always going to be a dead loss whenever they try and manipulate it or adjust it. Sure, as a society and civilization, there's certain points where we feel that it's acceptable and we want to implement changes and accept that dead loss. Like, say you want to have a minimum wage, you're going to have to accept some level of unemployment, and then you need to support those people there because you're essentially pricing a section of our economy out of the workforce, guys. So you can't have it both ways. You've got to appreciate the fact that every time you do something, there's a positive outcome and there's a negative outcome, and it's a decision that people need to talk about and be aware of. And so this is going to have impact on a global scale, and it seems to be in line with everything else we're saying. And I wonder if it'll affect the iron ore price moving forward. 10,000 jobs. It'll be a delay. If someone could let me know what the general rule of thumb is for how long these things delay to trickle through, it'd be great to know. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me for this episode. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.